Okay, best to be live. Okay, we ended off with the fourth reason of why Rav Ashi formulated the Talmud. And the fourth one was the drushas, the homilies that fit into the topics. So we are on page Samach Hey, second line, third line in the Rambam Lam, and in the Sefiria text, chapter 16, note 13. Tonight's goal, if we can accomplish that, is to go through and finish everything about the drushos.
Whoa.
That's a long stretch till page Ayin Beis, and then he's going to get into a very...
Tonight we're going to do that?
Well, we'll see. It's very wordy, but he's not really saying a lot of information.
Whoa, that's a lot.
So we'll see. We'll see. This fourth matter, Rotzalemer, Hadrash, the homilies, Hanimtzu b'Talmud. Don't think it doesn't have a lot of value or a lot of benefits. Don't think that, it's just like, for example, in the yeshiva world, and I don't mean to criticize anybody, when we were learning in yeshiva, they wanted to learn all like the lumdus, like the sugyas, the topics where there's lots of arguments. And we came to the, so to speak, in English, they gave it, it's the Ein Yaakov Gemaras. The English translation called it Legends of the Talmud. Okay, it's not really legends, but stories or
let's call it a guy.
Or things that sounded most unusual. Which one comes to mind? The one that's the hardest one to know. That Og wanted to took a whole mountain and wanted to throw it on the Jews. Okay, and what happened is the what do you call it? The ants ate a hole around it and it fell right over his arms to lock him up.
Yeah.
And Moshe was 10 amos high. Yeah. And his hatchet was 10 amos high.
And he could jump 10 amos.
Jumped 10 amos and
he was reached in the NBA.
And he reached Og's ankles. Yeah. Okay, so like what the heck is that supposed to mean? Well, that's for sure not what happened. So this what is like understood as a riddle. So in the yeshiva, we get to that, we just say it, and we just go on, like who's going to waste your time on that? That's stuff that's, it's not real Gemara, so to speak. But this is the fourth thing that Rambam's talking about. We have this quite often, we have such things. So don't make light of it. There's great understandings. It contains amazing riddles and beautiful wonders. Rabbi Nachman does a lot on that. A lot of his Torahs. He then starts explaining crazy Gemaras. The Gemara where people were, they saw, one time I saw a bunch of people sitting on an island.
Yes.
On an island in the middle of the ocean. And then what happened? The island rolled over and everybody died because it really was a whale.
The whale in the tail.
Okay, well, what does that mean? Okay, these are things like this. So he says, listen, they're amazing riddles, beautiful things. Because those homilies, if you really look at it in an intelligent way, you can understand such true goodness, which is not better than that. The Yagalam can be revealed from things, divine things and theological issues can be revealed. And the truth of the words, from which the rabbis in the Gemara were concealing. They didn't want to reveal it. And all the philosophers, what they attained over the generations, Jewish ones. And if you look at it according to the simple meaning, you're going to say this is, the farthest thing from anything that's to do with intelligence. So in other words, they're very deep secrets, and only the deepest of the deep-minded people can understand it. Regular. Ready. Go ahead.
Yeah. But could there be a debate where some people say that particular story is literal and others saying it's just a fantastic tale? Like the snake, whatever, swallowing up Moshe halfway, or what Pharaoh was doing in the Nile. So are all those? Is there agreement?
Some are true, and some are not. Okay, if the Torah writes it, whatever the Torah writes absolutely is true on a certain level. But the Torah doesn't write so clear for us to know, right? But it's certainly true. Just got to know what it means. What do you do with the medrash that says that the angels looked down from the heavens and saw that Abraham was sacrificing Yitzchak, and they cried, and their tears went all the way to Shemaim and landed in Yitzchak's eyes and blinded him 60 years later, 100 years later. So how do we understand those? Most of those are not to be understood literally. Not to be understood literally. These are riddles. How is it possible for an angel to cry and have pin perfect aim that it went right into Yitzchak's eyes? So these are the riddles. These are statements. They're really very deep ideas that the rabbis are concealing. And they did this for wondrous means. And one of them is, now you have to know, who are they speaking to? Liltosh Rayone HaTalmidim V'Levam Libos. Number one is to sharpen the minds of their students and to draw their hearts. I mean, think about it. Like, what it obviously means something deeper. So, in other words, you have a Gemara, an ox scoring an ox, and you have a Michalowicz, whatever, Eisho Mishum Chitzo, Eisho Mishum Yodo, is Gufo, is fire considered your arrow, your this, your body? That's lumdus. Fine, it's good lumdus. But now let's go to esoteric lumdus. Stretch the minds. Go boldly, go where nobody has gone before.
I've heard that.
Although Captain Kirk could not lift off this week.
Why?
Because of bad weather conditions.
No.
But anyway,
so 90?
He is 90. Anyway, so therefore, they want to sharpen their minds. That's number one. How about the one where Rabbi Akiva said to the students who were sleeping, why did Esther have 127 Medinas? Why? Because Sarah lived 127 years. Ta-dum-bum. Think that one over. That was to sharpen their minds. What's he talking about over there?
He woke people up.
For Ode, a second answer is, so to blind the eyes of the fools. And who will they will never illuminate their hearts. Now, some people are just not bright. And if you really would show them, illuminate the real truth, they turn their faces away from them because of their natural shortcomings. Of them, we say about these people and people similar to them, we don't share secrets with them. They say their intellect is not complete. To them to understand those truths with clarity. In other words, people are not going to get it. They're going to get the wrong ideas. They'll get false impressions. So you make it in the way of a little interesting little story. And remember, there are simple-minded people who will accept the story. I mean, you got some of these stories, they're deep ideas. You just got to say, listen, Moshe was 10 feet tall. He jumped 10 feet high, and he had a 10-foot axe, and he hit Og in the heel. Finished. Okay, that's nice. Okay. And some of them aren't going to ask any questions at all. You know, that classic Rashi where the Malachim cried into Yitzchak's eyes, I believed that for years. I was taught that in grade 3. I believed it. I really believed it. And guess what? As an 8-year-old, that's about all I could believe.
Right.
I couldn't understand anything more than that. There are much more deeper ideas. Now that I'm older, okay, I've worked on it. So I can figure it to some level. I can figure it out. So therefore, but if some people, they can't handle the deep esoteric truths of reality. And they're gonna say, this is not Yiddishkeit. I'm resigning from Yiddishkeit. If that's what you're telling me, I cannot accept this. He's going to give you a mashal to this. I know we're going to get to it today. That'll be a little bit something you can feel and touch, as it were. But we'll see. And likewise, some of the rabbis didn't want to reveal even some to the other rabbis. Some rabbis didn't feel that other rabbis or the Gemara were on a high enough level. There's a famous story in Chagiga. He was like this. One rabbi was an expert in the story of the chariot, Yecheskel's vision. He was an expert in it.
The Merkava.
And others were experts in the whole story of creation, the real behind the scenes.
Maaseh Bereshis.
Maaseh Bereshis. He was an expert in Maaseh Merkava. His friends were Maaseh Bereshis. So they made a deal. Amalahem, he said to his friends, Lamdeni Maaseh Bereshis. Teach me the story, the real story of creation. And I'll tell you about the esoteric chariot. From Utov, it's a good deal. So they said, okay, we'll teach you Maaseh Bereshis. And he got it. He got it. Thanks. Okay, now you teach us the Maaseh Merkava. He said, no, I changed my mind. He did not teach them the Maaseh Merkava.
I remember that.
Whoa. What's going on? This is Chagiga.
Chagiga.
Just a couple of weeks ago, Daf Yomi. So what's going on over it? It sounds like a real dirty trick to me, you know? God forbid you can't accuse the Tana of not wanting to share wisdom or want to be better than the other guy in an area. I'm smarter than you. Because even with a fool, it's a disgusting characteristic. Certainly, if be an Amora, be terrible. He knew he was smarter than them. And Maaseh Merkava is much harder than the Maaseh Bereshis. So he said, listen, tell me Maaseh Bereshis, so he could at least get the Maaseh Bereshis. But then when it came time for the Maaseh Merkava, he said, sorry guys, you won't get it. You're not on the level. So what do you see? Even within the Talmudic scholarly realm, there are people who are not on the level of others to understand these things. And they said, well, what's your source to not share the information? So he brings a pasuk in Shir Hashirim that says, Dvash v'chalav tachas l'shonech. Honey and milk under the tongue. What does that mean? Upirshu aleim l'shon. They explain. She said, what's the idea? Shachachmas hamasukos. The sweet wisdoms, shanefesh tinaim b'hem, that the soul finds very pleasant. Just like the palate loves milk and honey. You have to conceal them. Don't speak about them. And it shouldn't be raised to the lips. Under any circumstances. That's what it means. It's under the tongue, but not out of the tongue.
Right.
This is not something for what is fitting to teach and analyze in the gatherers of wisdom. So he says, not everybody knows these things. V'ula, nonetheless, they would still write it with hints. In other words, they would write the riddle. And the riddle is there. And the person's going to look at the riddle and says, oh, okay. So I guess the Malachim cried in Yitzchak's eyes. That's good. We'll live with that. And others said, that can't be. So, okay. So work your brains a little bit. Figure it out. Well, I don't know what it means. Tell me what it means. No. If you can't figure it out, no point in me telling it to you. When Hashem removes the mask of foolishness, from the heart of someone who wants, after he works really hard, and gets accustomed with true wisdom, then he'll understand things according to his understanding. Okay, now this I find to be a very true statement, even in my limited understanding of Torah, where there's ideas I had no idea what was going on. It never made any sense. And then after years of, you pick up a lot of Judaic knowledge and a lot of fundamental ideas. You pick all this up, and then you know what? You get it.
Yeah, it comes together.
You're able to get it. It makes sense. And things that never made sense now make a lot of sense. But you have to have a lot of information. And you got to have a lot of honesty. Remember, the worst part is you also got to refine, not the worst part, the most challenging part, is you got to refine your mitos.
Yeah.
Because if your mitos are corrupt, then the way you integrate information is in a corrupt way.
And plus the Torah won't really
And
permeate.
the Torah
into
doesn't
you.
permeate. So therefore, we have to have it on file so that we know these are the mysteries of the Talmud. And we know where you should be looking. But you know what? But if you're a simpleton, you're just not going to get it, or we're going to give you a simple shot. If you're really simple, you'll say, okay, I get it. Okay, so Moshe was 10 feet tall. He jumped 10 feet high, and he hit him in the heel, and he killed him. Very good. I'm happy with that.
I thought that Malachim, it was a cataract. that
Whatever.
Developed over time. That's what the
Whatever.
tear fell in. He got a
Whatever,
cataract,
whatever.
They didn't have surgery.
But it's much deeper ideas. I'm telling you, if you look in Rabbi Nachman and his long Torahs, which are not easy Torahs, and he'll go back to a story in the Gemara. It's a crazy story.
Wow.
And after he explains it, you know what? If you're not familiar with Rabbi Nachman's Torahs, you still don't understand what Rabbi Nachman's talking about. What do you think all his stories were?
Yeah.
Every one of the stories, Rabbi Nachman's stories was like a contemporary spin-off of the Gemara's riddles. That's really what it is.
Well, wasn't the 7 beggars? What was
Yeah,
that?
well, all of them.
Yeah.
They're explaining deep concepts that are way beyond the simple text. And even when you hear it, if you're not familiar with any Hasidus, you don't know what he's talking about.
Yeah. Well, I remember with the Davash and the Sifta was speaking about the whole thing under the tongue, because you can only take a limited amount. If you take too much honey, you get sick also.
That's right. You can get sick also. You can get wrong ideas.
Yeah, you get
Certain things you can't share these ideas.
It's a limited amount.
So now the person who has no access to this kind of wisdom presently, leave it up to Hashem. And supplicate that Hashem should make him smart and reveal to him the secrets, like you find by David HaMelech, where he says, Gal einai ve'abita, open my eyes that I may see what? Niflaos, your wonders, mi Torah secha, from your Torah. When Hashem opens up the eyes, and then when you see it, guess what you do when you find it? You should conceal it. Don't share it with others. They don't know. They can't cop what it's all about. And Vim Yirmas Mahem, and if he's going to hint it to others, Bimat Yirmos, give a little hint. So Mishay, so Seichel Shalom, to someone who's got good, full intellect, Vinoda Amitaso, and he will get the truth. Kamoshe Barno, as we explained, Vigolo B'Masios Rabbos V'Talmud, and he revealed, and they, as is shown in many stories of the Talmud. Valkein, therefore, ein roy leish chacham legalos ma'asher min hasodos. It's not fit for a wise person to reveal what he knows from the secrets. El mishu gadol menu o kamo, to either someone who's greater than him or equal. Shemigalos o leksil, if you reveal it to a fool, even though he won't disdain it, he will not find favor in his eyes. And that's what the pasuk says. The oznei seal in the eyes of in the ears of a fool, alter, don't speak. He will disdain your sensible words. What he's saying is that you're giving the guy an excuse to be a kofer. Say, this doesn't make sense. You're telling me God says this. There's no way God would say this. And therefore, it's just like this. A heck of a lot of things that I don't think make sense don't make sense. And therefore, I don't have to do them. It's a dangerous thing. We don't, and that's why you're wondering, so what about the Zohar? That's why they didn't teach the Zohar. The Zohar, from beginning to end, is secrets.
Yeah.
You don't teach Zohar to punks,
Punks.
Unless you give it to them in a very special
Watered
dose.
down, watered down.
Watered down,
Yeah.
watered down, watered down, a little bit, but they can absorb. But you don't give them the real deal. They don't know what's going on over there. You hear certain ideas, you just cannot repeat them from the Zohar. You're going to get all the wrong ideas. You have a Gemara that says that Adam was intimate with every animal in the world before he found Sor, before he found Chava. Do you think that's Pasha Pshat?
No.
Now you tell that to an LBGTQRPNCYJQ. I could say it better than Trudeau can. Okay. You tell him that, he says that's a proof to gay.
There you go. There you go. Immorality, right there.
But we know that's not what it means,
Of course.
because we know intimacy means being intimate intellectually.
That's how we could name them.
That's how we name it. It's a whole different story. What does it mean to be intellectually intimate? You know what? 90% of the people in the world don't know what that means anymore. They don't know what it means anymore. So you can't share these things with people. You go tell this in a class to secular people, nothing doing. Vote. Now, and therefore, teaching to the masses has to be a riddle, a parable. So to include the women, the youths, and the youngsters until they mature. Then they'll get older, they'll reflect, they'll understand what the hints are. That's what Shlomo hinted when he said, same pasuk, lahavin mashal u'malitza, to understand a proverb and an expression. These are the words of the wise and the riddles. And for these reasons, that's why the rabbis arranged all these homilies in a way that was way beyond what people can understand at all. And the best they could understand is a shtickle riddle. And now, don't attribute the lack of understanding because it's a poor piece of material. So you got to understand, deficiency is in my intellect. When you see a parable that's hard to understand, even on the simplest level, you don't understand it. You should be perturbed by your own ineffective intellect. To the point where you think there's something missing. There's something wrong with your amunah in the worst way. Because intellectual knowledge some have much greater, abilities over others. It depends how much stuff's up inside you. Some people got more, some people got less.
How much hardware? Just like
you have certain people who have a temperament that's more straight than another person. You take a conservative or a liberal without any question. The conservative has more brains than the liberal.
Well, the liberal, you already said, he's so open-minded, his brains fell out.
That's all. It's like there's nothing to talk. There's nothing to talk. They don't know what reason means. They just don't want our way. We want to have an authoritative government, and that's it. Don't confuse the issue with facts. They can't take facts. They don't understand facts. Vein suffix, and there's no doubt. You cannot compare one person who has potential intellect to actual intellect.
Oh, it's like
all right. Whereas there are people who have the potential to be very smart, but they don't use their brains. They play Nintendo games all day long.
No.
They watch movies all day long, so their brains turn into mush. And there's other people who really use their brains. They read a novel idea to read, and that becomes potential. And they think, I forgot what the statistic I just saw, that kids coming out of university, The vast majority do not have critical thinking skills, period. Graduating college, university, they don't know it's not on the curriculum. You don't think for yourself. You just say what you've been told and don't ask any questions, stupid. Okay, therefore you have some things in certain people's eyes is the ultimate of truth. But somebody else, that's so far away. A simple idea, critical race theory.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, critical race theory. What is the emes? What's the emes, guys? It's racism cloaked over. That's what it mamish is. It's racism against whites. That's what it is. Now go explain it to a liberal. They don't got the brains to understand anything anymore. They just say, oh yeah, the blacks, you went back to the blacks. That's it. You're terrible because you're white. But that is racism. You don't realize who you're dealing with over here. Can you imagine something as simple as critical race theory? The majority of the United States don't understand it. You think they're going to understand anything with spirituality? We're going to leave it here. He's going to give us an example dealing with how a smart person still could have a smart person, let's say a doctor, could be knowing everything in medicine,
Right.
but will not know anything about astronomy and will not know anything about the relationship of the sun to the earth. And that's going to be tomorrow's topic in point 27. And as we're here, I'm going to footnote it, save it, and let's hope it stays. Okay, shkoyach everybody. Have an enjoyable night, and we'll see you all tomorrow. Sei gesund. Take care. Stop the share. Stop recording.